Shalom, when the stuff source by giving no praise to Yahweh, Bashem El Shah, Bashem Kal Kadash, double honors to the apostle, great Milson, and honors you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name, of whom the world eagerly calls God Jehovah Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. His son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shai, coming in, coming down, Sham, meaning names Yahweh and the name of Yahweh Shai. Real quick, this one, is inspired. I actually did it yesterday, but which was a video, and I didn't really know what I captured, so I was like, let me just do a normal screen record, instead. But basically, it was I was just walking, doing my walk, saw a nice car, man. What was it, like a custom Lambo or something? Young man, inside. Right, and I was looking like, damn, someone looks young driving a car like that. So man, what going for that, right? But then, kind of was then like, but that's nothing really, because in the kingdom we gonna have that and then some, right? We're gonna be living large in the kingdom. Scripture says this, so we can start off there, right? I seen, right? This is almost forget where it is. I'll get the one in Corinthians, get the quote as well, right? Right, it says, but as it is, 1 Corinthians 2:9, it says, but as it is written, eye hath not seen nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which the Most High hath prepared for them that love him, right? And that's a quoting of Isaiah 64:4, right, which says, for since the beginning of the world, men have not heard, nor perceived by ear, neither hath the eye seen, O Most High, beside thee, what he hath prepared for him that waiteth, right, for him, right? So that's it. We have an understanding that in the kingdom it's gonna be amazing, right? It's gonna be amazing, but on this side, because we go through what we go through, we suffer, etc., etc., etc. We're kind of in a position where, you as a nation, right? Because obviously the spirit that we have is we understand that we've got better coming, right? But you see why, Jake, because they don't have no vision, right? Which is, what does the scripture say? It says Proverbs 29:18. It says, where there is no vision, the people perisheth, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he, right? And because Jake don't see a world beyond this, right, they accept whatever it is that Esau gives them, and in turn, right, end up accepting the nonsense that Esau is offering, right? You think about these entertainers and the things that they do, right? The whole thing with with Diddy and stuff like that, right? It's not just him, it's all of them, right? To get up into those mainstream positions, it's all of them, right? It's just right now Diddy's the scapegoat, going through whatever humiliation ritual that he's going through, okay, right? But we understand that we've got so much more, so much better, and we're going to look back in the kingdom, right, and just be like, yo, is that we is that basically all that we had to go through, right? It says 2 Corinthians 4:17. It says, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, right? So you think about all of the different hells, all the different pain, this, that, and the other that we go through right now, right? The scripture is referring to it as a light affliction, right? So it's just like, imagine what that really means in the kingdom, right? You think of the example of a woman giving birth. In that moment, she's in a lot of pain, right? She's in a lot of pain. You see this, I've never witnessed it, but in TV they portray it as sweat beads coming off, screaming, yada yada yada, right? But then afterwards, right, she's just in love with the baby that's there, and over a process of time forgets that pain, okay? And that's what it's gonna be like for us, right? We just have to go through this path, for a season, right? In fact, makes me think of this precept. Is it 2 Ezra 6? No, it must be 7. Right, so this is 2 Ezra 7, and 6. All right, it says there is also another thing: a city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things, and that's what we're waiting for. That's what we're working towards. Right, that city, builded, would you call it? And is full of all good things. Right, and is that what is that? Hebrews 13:14, right? It says, for here we have no continuing city. Right, so we have no continuing city here, but we seek one to come, right? And as we've just read in 2 Ezra 7, right there, it's full of all good things, right? It says the entrance thereof is narrow, right, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were fire on the right hand and on the left hand a deep water, and only one path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. Right, you think about scriptures when it says, "Seek out thine own salvation," right, with fear and trembling, because at the end of the day, right, this is a this is a journey of ourselves, right? And we're just hoping that we can make it, right? Verse 9, it says, if the city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? Right, so if we don't go through this light affliction that we're going through now, which once again in the moment they don't feel like, not going to sit and pretend. Right, in the moment it may not feel nice, but let's finish off what it says. Right, so back in 2 Corinthians 4:17, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and what eternal weight of glory. Right, because what Esau's offering is temporal. Right, it's a small consolation. But what we're working for is something, of eternity, something of eternal glory, right? So, yeah, man, it's back to the starting point, right? It's just one of them ones where it's like, you get people in this world once again that are doing good, right? They're doing good. They got this, they got that, right? But guess what? We've got the Lord. Right, and we've got next. Right, in fact, since we had just passed it, right, this is 2 Ezra 6:9. Right, it says, for Esau was the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right, so Jacob, us, Israel, right, starting off with the elect, right, they're gonna have rulership of the next world. Right, and in fact, when we read this was one of the complaints that Ezra has. He was like, look, man, we're your chosen. Right? In fact, let's read it, right? So it says, 2 Ezra 6:54 now, right? It says, and after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. Right? Because the Lord is going to allow us power over animals again. We can, we can, in fact, let's jump to, no, it's not here, listed there, right? This is Isaiah 11:8, I think it is. Yep. So it says Isaiah 11:6. It says, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea. Right, so it's referring to the fact that basically the Israelites are going to have power, right, over over these different nations. It's not nations, but yeah, nations too, but all these different animals. Right, which is why the Israelite child, is going to be able to, play on the hole of the asp, right? Is going to, be leading the wolf, right, and the leopard and stuff like that, right? Because they're going to be back in that position, where animals were fearful, right, as it was in the beginning, right? Sorry, where were we? So where were we? Got. Yeah, so that's it, right? So made Lord of all thy creatures, back in 2 Ezra 6. Okay, so it says, verse 55, it says, all this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. This is it. He is trying to take the birthright, right, by doing all of these different projects that he's doing, right? But the thing is the Lord is just going to give it to us because it was promised unto us, right? And the heathen too, right? The heathen are a part of what we have been given, right? So we're gonna have it all, man. Verse 56 is, as for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, right? And there's like in the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a bucket, right? So that's it. It's just like, and then Ezra goes on and just, I might as well just finish it, right? So it says, and now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us, right? Not only that, right, but to basically they have, kept us in oppression, right? And then he once again will use his witchcraft and his media to dangle, these little carrots, right? Which anything in this kingdom is a little carrot, right? Because once again, in the kingdom, we're gonna have it all. But we're gonna have it all. Right? I'm gonna have it all in righteousness, right? Because in this world, you gotta, yeah, people have certain quote unquote things, right? But it's in wickedness, right? It says, but we thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. Right? If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? Right? So basically, Ezra is saying, like, look, man, this is an error. It's like, what's going on? How long is it gonna be like this? Right? But this is the answer, right? Until this man goes down. Right, but then after that, that's when we go and have all of this. That's when we're gonna have a power over these nations. Revelation 2:25 it speaks about that. It says, he that shall endure until the end, right? Basically him, I'll give power over the nations, so rule them with a rod of iron, right? And we can't wait, right? Because certain of you people, you need to be ruled. Not certain, you heathens need to be ruled with a rod of iron. Okay. So it's so we read that. Okay, so let me grab this real quick, and I'll grab a few more precepts and close it out. Right, but it's Psalm 73:3. So for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. All right, and then that's it. You can in this world, the lust of the eyes. You're looking at stuff. You're like, oh, you're X, Y, and Z, right? But at the end of the day, right, that's the prosperity of the wicked, right? It says, for there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They're not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men, right? Because you get certain of these Edomites, right? They're just good, they're just good, right? It says, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment, right? Their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than heart could wish, right? And especially when you start talking about the the elites, right? They live good, right? They have literally got nothing that there's literally nothing that they can't do, right? That they haven't got access to in this world, okay? But that's why they're so proud, not understanding that the Lord has other plans for them, right? And that they can't trump the Spirit of the Most High, right? Right, but I'm going to jump down to verse 17. Right, it says, until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High, then understood I their end. Right, surely thou didst set them in slippery places, thou castest them down into destruction. How are they brought into desolation, as in a moment they are utterly consumed with terrors. Right, and that's it, man. So it is what it is. So let's just grab some more of these, see what some of these precepts are saying. Right, and close it out. Right, it says Psalm 16 and 11. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. Isaiah 65:17. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come in mind. Right, but be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing and her people a joy. Right? And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. They shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. Right? Which we ain't ever gonna die, because a curse of what do you call it? the wages of sin is death, right? And we ain't going to sin anymore, right? But yeah, as we're looking at this, reading into this, right, you can see it's just beautiful, right? I'm going to read a direct precept to this. Revelation 21:4 says, "And the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. There shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." And the end of John 14:2 says, "In my Father's house are many mansions," right, representing different planets. It says, "If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you." So we're gonna be extraterrestrial, you know. So as always, Lord, that was edifying. Until next time, be safe. Shalom.